You know what's wild? In a world where everyone's quick to cancel you for one mistake, there's this deep teaching in Islam that basically says, man, no matter how far you've gone, no matter how badly you've screwed it up, the door to mercy is still wide open. Think about that. You could be at your lowest, your hands dirty from the worst decisions, and somehow there's still a way back. No guilt trap, no permanent label, just a shot at starting over. And it's not about pretending it never happened. It's about owning it, feeling it, and then walking forward with a lighter heart. That's crazy powerful, especially in a culture that thrives on holding grudges forever. Mercy isn't rationed. That's the thing people don't get. We live in a world where it feels like everyone's keeping score. You mess up once, they remember. You mess up twice, they remind you. 3 times, you're done. No more chances. It's like people treat forgiveness as if it's a limited currency they can't afford to spend. They hand it out in tiny doses, like they're afraid they'll run out. But here's the crazy thing. Real mercy doesn't work like that. In Islam, mercy isn't some rare collectible you get to use only on special occasions. It's endless, man. It's like the sun. You can block it for a while with clouds, but it's still there, still shining, still giving light, whether you think you deserve it or not. Imagine this. You screw up at work big time. You missed a deadline, cost the company money, and now your boss is furious. In most places, you're either fired or you walk around with that mistake hanging over your head for months. People talk, they whisper, they treat you differently. But mercy in its pure form, it doesn't drag your past around like a dead weight. It doesn't say, I'll forgive you this time, but you're on thin ice. It says, okay, you messed up. Now fix it, start fresh. It gives you a clean page, not a page with stains all over it. The thing is, we've been conditioned to believe that love and kindness come with terms and conditions. Like when someone says, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. That's not mercy. That's a suspended sentence. It's still punishment, just delayed. Real mercy is different. It's a choice to not let your past define you. It's understanding that human beings aren't perfect machines. We're more like rough drafts. We get edited, rewritten, crossed out, and improved. Think about how nature works. A tree doesn't stop giving oxygen because you cut one of its branches. The ocean doesn't stop sending waves because you dropped something into it. The sun doesn't stop shining because you stayed indoors yesterday. Mercy is like that. It keeps giving over and over, even when you've taken it for granted. And here's the part that hits you when you really think about it. If mercy was rationed, most of us wouldn't even be here. Think about all the times you've messed up and somehow got another chance. You lied to someone, but they trusted you again. You lost a friend, but reconnected years later. You failed in school, but still found your way in life. That's mercy working in the background. In daily life, it's easy to get caught up in the idea of keeping score. Maybe someone hurt you badly. Maybe they betrayed you in a way that shook your whole world. The natural instinct is to build a wall to protect yourself by never letting them back in. And sometimes, yeah, you do need distance, but mercy doesn't mean you're a doormat. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It means you release the bitterness. You stop carrying their offense like a badge of pain, because holding onto that, it's like holding a burning coal and expecting the other person to get burned. I've seen people change in ways you wouldn't believe. The guy who spent years in trouble with the law now runs a community program to keep kids off the streets. The woman who once cheated in every relationship she had is now married, loyal, and devoted to her family. If you judged them only by who they used to be, you'd never see the transformation. That's what happens when mercy is given room to work. It turns broken people into better people. And here's where it gets personal. You can't really understand mercy until you've needed it yourself. The moment you hit rock bottom, when you know you've hurt people, when you've disappointed yourself, when you feel like you burned every bridge, that's when the idea of mercy stops being a nice theory and starts being oxygen. You realize it's not about how many chances you've used up. It's about the fact that there's still a chance. So imagine living life without this idea. Every mistake you've made follows you forever. No reset button, no fresh start, just a constant replay of your failures. That's not life, that's a prison. Mercy is the jailbreak. It says, you're not your worst moment. It tells you that you're allowed to grow beyond the person you were yesterday. And when you get that, when you actually feel it, you start giving it to others too. because you know what it's like to be on the receiving end, and you know how it can completely rewrite someone's story. Forgiveness starts with you. It sounds simple, but it's probably one of the hardest truths to actually live out. Most of us walk around thinking forgiveness is about the other person, about saying to someone who hurt us or giving them a free pass so we can move on. But here's the thing, you can't truly forgive anyone else if you're still holding yourself hostage for the things you've done. You can't pour clean water from a dirty cup. You can't talk about peace when every night before bed you're replaying all the times you fell short, all the decisions you regret, all the opportunities you wasted. Forgiveness is an inside job first. If you can't look in the mirror without flinching at your own reflection, you're always going to see a distorted version of other people too. Think about how you treat yourself after you make a mistake. Maybe you snapped at someone you love because you were stressed, or maybe you messed up an important task at work, or maybe you let your health slide and now you're paying the price. What's the first thing you do? For a lot of people, it's self-punishment. You beat yourself up mentally, you call yourself names, you run that failure through your head on repeat like it's your favorite song. It becomes a cycle. You screw up, you shame yourself, and then you get stuck in the same patterns that caused the mistake in the first place. But when you forgive yourself, something changes. You're not pretending the mistake didn't happen. You're just refusing to let it own you. You're saying, yeah, I messed up, but I'm not going to stay here. It's like walking through mud. If you stop and stare at your shoes, you're just going to sink deeper. But if you keep moving step by step, you eventually find solid ground again. Imagine you have a friend who's going through a hard time. They've made a series of bad choices and they're drowning in guilt. Now imagine you go to them and say, you're a failure, you'll never get it right. You don't deserve another chance. You wouldn't do that, right? So why do you talk to yourself that way every day? There are people who are kinder to strangers than they are to themselves. They forgive others for things they can't forgive themselves for, and that's backwards. Daily life gives us constant reminders of this. You might forget to call someone back and they brush it off, but you spend hours telling yourself you're a bad friend. You might make a small financial mistake, and your partner says it's okay, but you keep replaying it until you feel like you're terrible with money. That's the thing. Other people might already be over it, but you're still carrying it like a backpack full of bricks. And here's the truth that's hard to swallow. You can't rewrite the past. No matter how many times you relive it in your mind, it's not going to change. But what you can change is how you show up right now, today. Forgiving yourself isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning from it without letting it control you. It's about understanding that your value as a person doesn't disappear because of one bad chapter in your story. Self-forgiveness is also the key to breaking patterns. If you believe you're a bad person because you've made bad choices, you start living in a way that proves yourself right. But if you believe you're someone capable of growth, you start living in a way that proves that too. It's a mental shift that changes everything, from how you talk to people, to how you chase your goals, to how you handle stress. And there's a strange paradox here. When you forgive yourself, you actually take more responsibility, not less. Because you're not wasting all your energy on guilt. You can focus on actually fixing things. Guilt freezes you in place. Forgiveness frees you to move. I once heard someone say that holding on to self-hate is like punishing the current version of yourself for the mistakes of the old version of yourself. You've already changed, even if it's in small ways, but you're still treating yourself like that old version. It's like punishing a kid for something they did before they even learned better. Look at how children learn to walk. They fall, they trip, they bump into things. Nobody yells at them and says, well, that's it, you're not cut out for walking. We laugh, we help them up, we encourage them to try again. Why do we stop doing that for ourselves as adults? Every failure is just a step in learning how to stand stronger. Forgiving yourself is basically saying, okay, I fell, but I'm getting back up. And when you start practicing self-forgiveness, something shifts in how you see the world. Suddenly, you have more patience for others, because you know what it's like to be human, to make mistakes, to need a second chance. You stop expecting perfection from everyone, including yourself. And that's when you start living lighter, freer, more ready for whatever's next. The regret is fuel, not a prison. The problem is, Most people treat regret like a life sentence. They lock themselves in it, pacing back and forth in the same cell, staring at the same mistake over and over. They think about the words they wish they didn't say, the chances they didn't take, the moments they ruined, and it becomes this loop they can't escape. It's like living in a house where every wall has the same photograph of your worst moment. No wonder they feel stuck. But regret isn't supposed to chain you down. It's supposed to light a fire under you. It's supposed to be that sharp memory in the back of your mind that pushes you to move differently next time. Think about how a burn works. You touch something hot once, and the pain teaches you to be careful around heat. You don't stop cooking because you burned yourself once. You just learn how to handle the fire better. Regret works the same way. You take that sting and turn it into awareness. Instead of saying, I wish I never tried, you start saying, next time I'll do it smarter. Everybody has those moments they wish they could rewrite. Maybe you let a good relationship fall apart because you were too proud to say sorry. Maybe you wasted years in a job you hated because you were too scared to take a risk. Maybe you missed an opportunity because you didn't believe in yourself. Those memories can crush you if you let them. They can make you think, it's too late. I already ruined it. But here's the truth. It's only too late if you decide to stop moving. Regret can be the very thing that gives you the energy to go harder, to be better, to make sure you never feel that kind of loss again. I've met people who turned their whole life around because of one regret. A father who missed years of his child's life now makes every single moment count. A student who failed out of school went back years later and graduated at the top of his class. A woman who walked away from her dreams of starting a business finally took the leap, and the regret of not trying earlier gave her the discipline to make it succeed. None of that happens if they sit in their cell replaying the old mistakes. It happens because they took that regret and turned it into action. The trick is changing how you talk to yourself about regret. Instead of saying, I ruined everything, start saying, I learned something I'll never forget. Instead of thinking, I can't believe I wasted so much time, say, I'm not wasting another second. It's not about pretending the pain isn't there. It's about using that pain like an engine. Look at athletes. They study their losses more than their wins. They'll replay the moment they missed the shot or made the wrong move, not to beat themselves up forever, but to figure out how to get it right next time. The loss isn't the end. It's the blueprint for winning. Life works the same way. Your regret is just your personal highlight reel of lessons you can't afford to ignore. Sometimes regret shows you who you don't want to be. You remember how it felt to disappoint someone you care about, and you decide you're never going to be that person again. You remember the emptiness of giving up on something you loved, and you decide you're going to fight harder next time. It's not about running from regret. It's about running with it, letting it push you further than you thought you could go. There's this idea people have that moving forward means letting go completely, but you don't have to erase your regret to move forward. In fact, keeping it close in the right way can be powerful. It can be the reminder you need on the days when you feel lazy or when you start slipping back into old habits. You think about how it felt to lose that chance, and it pulls you back into focus. And here's the thing, regret is proof that you care. You don't regret things that mean nothing to you. If you feel it deeply, it means there's still a part of you that values what was lost, that believes you could have done better. That's not weakness. That's a sign you still have fire in you. People without regret are people who've stopped caring. People with regret have something worth fighting for. It's easy to tell yourself you'll get over it and move on, but the real magic happens when you take that same regret and use it as the very reason you wake up earlier, work harder, love deeper, and push further. When you stop treating regret like a cage and start treating it like fuel, you stop fearing it. You start realizing it's not the thing holding you back. It's the thing that can launch you forward if you let it. Humans are wired to mess up. It's not some flaw in the system. It's the system itself. We make mistakes not because we're broken, but because we're built to learn through trial and error. Think about it. Every skill you have, every lesson you've truly absorbed, came with a few wrong turns along the way. Nobody rides a bike perfectly the first time. Nobody speaks a new language without fumbling the words. Nobody nails every choice in life without stumbling first. Messing up is part of the operating manual for being human. The problem is we live in a world where mistakes are treated like permanent tattoos instead of temporary ink. You say the wrong thing once and suddenly you're labeled. You fail at something and suddenly you're defined by that failure. But that's not how it works in reality. Life is more like a sketchbook. You can tear out pages, start over, draw again, and each attempt makes the next one better. Imagine a child learning to walk. They take 2 steps and fall. They get back up, take 3 steps, and fall again. No one says, well, you've fallen twice, guess walking isn't for you. No, we cheer them on. We expect the falling. In fact, the falling is proof they're trying. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we forget this. We fall in our careers, in our relationships, in our habits, and instead of seeing it as proof we're moving forward, we see it as proof we're not enough. You're going to mess up conversations. You're going to misjudge people. You're going to make decisions that seemed right in the moment, but look completely wrong in hindsight. That's not a sign you're failing at life. It's a sign you're living it. If you never mess up, it means you're never taking risks, never stepping outside your comfort zone, never giving yourself the chance to grow. And here's the wild part. Sometimes your biggest screw-ups will become the very thing that opens the door to something better. Maybe you got fired from a job you thought you needed, but it pushed you into a career you actually love. Maybe you stayed in a toxic relationship too long, but the pain taught you exactly what you won't tolerate again. Maybe you wasted years chasing the wrong dream, but in the process, you discovered what you're truly built for. Think about the people you admire the most. Chances are they didn't get where they are by getting everything right. They got there because they fell flat on their face, got up, wiped off the dirt, and kept going. Every scar, every embarrassing story, every regret, they carry all of that like badges, not because they're proud of the mistake, but because they're proud of the recovery. It's like hiking a mountain. The trail isn't smooth. There are rocks you trip over, patches where you slip, moments where you lose your footing completely. But each stumble teaches you where to place your feet next. Each near fall teaches you how to balance. Without those moments, you wouldn't make it to the top. Daily life gives you endless reminders of this truth. You burn a meal, you learn the right temperature. You misread someone's intentions, you learn to listen better. You overspend 1 month, you learn how to manage your money. The mistake is the tuition you pay for the lesson. Without the mistake, there's no lesson. And yet we're so quick to shame ourselves for being human. We pretend everyone else has it together and we're the only ones tripping. But here's the secret. Everyone's tripping. The people who seem like they never mess up are just better at moving forward when they do. They don't let one wrong step convince them the whole journey isn't worth taking. You've got to give yourself permission to screw up without making it the headline of your story. A bad chapter doesn't mean a bad book. It means you're in the middle of the plot and something just happened to make the story more interesting. The next time you mess up, instead of thinking, I've ruined everything, try thinking, I just found a new way that doesn't work. That's not failure, that's research, that's progress in disguise. When you understand that mistakes are built into the blueprint of life, you stop fearing them, you stop avoiding them at all costs, and you start seeing them for what they are, signs that you're still in the game, still trying, still moving forward, letting go freeze. Both sides. It's something you don't fully understand until you've carried the weight for too long, holding on to anger, resentment, or the memory of how someone hurt you might feel like protection at first. You tell yourself you're keeping it as a reminder, as proof you won't be fooled again. But over time, it's like carrying a heavy stone in your pocket every single day. You get used to the weight, but it's still slowing you down. Letting go doesn't mean saying what they did was okay. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means you're tired of letting that moment, that pain, control how you feel, how you think, how you live. Think about how much space in your mind a grudge takes up. It creeps into conversations, into moments that should have been joyful. You see a place, a face, or even hear a song, and it drags you right back to that feeling. You could be out enjoying a beautiful day, but suddenly you're replaying a scene from years ago as if it happened this morning. The truth is, the other person might have moved on completely. They might not even think about it anymore. Meanwhile, you're still drinking poison and hoping they get sick. Letting go is not weakness. It's one of the strongest things you can do. Anyone can stay angry. Anyone can hold on to bitterness. But it takes real courage to say, I'm not going to let this own me anymore. It's like opening your hand after gripping something so tight your knuckles turned white. The relief is instant, even if it feels strange at first. Daily life gives us plenty of examples. Maybe a coworker took credit for your idea, and it's been eating at you for months. Every time you see them, you feel that knot in your stomach. Or maybe someone in your family said something years ago that cut deep. And every holiday, you brace yourself for tension. Maybe an old friend betrayed your trust, and you've kept their name on your mental blacklist ever since. Those moments feel like they define the relationship, but what they're really doing is defining you, shaping how you move through the world. Letting go doesn't mean you have to rebuild the relationship. Sometimes letting go means closing the door completely, but doing it without hate. You can walk away without dragging the baggage behind you. You can say, I release this, and in that moment, you're no longer tied to the energy they left you with. And here's the part people often miss. When you let go, you're not just freeing yourself. You're freeing them too. You're ending that invisible tug of war where both sides are holding the rope, waiting for the other to drop it first. You stop feeding the tension. You stop being part of the cycle that keeps the hurt alive. Maybe they feel the release immediately. Maybe they never notice. Either way, the air is clearer. Imagine you're holding a balloon filled with water. It's heavy, awkward, and you've been carrying it for so long your arms ache. You think, if I drop it, they win. But the moment you let it fall, you realize it's not about them winning, it's about you finally having your hands free. You can reach for new things, hold better memories, build a lighter life. And here's the paradox. When you let go, you often gain more than you lose. You gain peace. You gain the ability to be fully present. You gain energy you didn't even realize you were spending on rehearsing arguments in your head or reliving old wounds. Some people will never apologize. Some will never understand the depth of what they did. Some will never give you the closure you think you need. But the beauty of letting go is realizing you don't need it from them. You can give it to yourself. You don't need their permission to be free. You just have to decide that your peace is worth more than your pain. And there's something incredibly powerful about walking through life without being chained to old stories. You laugh easier. You breathe deeper. You stop waiting for the past to change because you finally see it for what it is. A chapter, not the whole book. You start writing new chapters with space for joy, for connection, for moments that aren't shadowed by yesterday's storms. Letting go doesn't erase the memory, but it takes away its power. It gives you back your hands, your heart, your future. Mercy makes you stronger, not weaker. People often confuse kindness with weakness, as if showing compassion means you're too soft to stand your ground. They think holding on to anger or seeking revenge proves strength, when in reality, it's the opposite. It's easy to let hate drive you. It's easy to let bitterness fuel every move you make. The hard thing, the thing that takes real backbone, is looking someone in the eye who hurt you and saying, I'm not letting what you did control me anymore. Mercy is not surrender. Mercy is the decision to stand taller, lighter, and freer while they stay chained to their own actions. Think about a storm. Lightning is loud and destructive, and it's what people notice. But the calm after, the stillness that comes when the rain stops, that's where the real strength is. Mercy is like that calm. Anyone can throw punches, scream, or plot revenge. Not everyone can be still and say, I choose peace over chaos. That's a different level of power because it's power you control from the inside. Daily life is full of moments where you can choose mercy or you can choose to hold on to the wound. Maybe a coworker embarrassed you in front of the team, and you have the perfect chance to get back at them later. Maybe your sibling said something that dug deep, and you've been waiting for the right moment to make them feel it. Maybe a friend broke your trust, and you keep replaying the scene, crafting the speech you'll deliver to hurt them back. These moments feel like crossroads, and it's tempting to go for the hit. But mercy is walking away knowing you could have done damage, but you chose not to. That's strength that comes from self-control, not from dominance. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who've been wronged deeply, but don't let it harden them. They still smile. They still give. They still love. Not because they're naive, but because they refuse to let someone else's actions define the kind of person they become. That's the kind of strength that inspires people, not the loud, flashy strength, but the quiet, unshakable kind. It's like carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones. Each stone is a grudge, a hurt, a betrayal. You can keep lugging it around, telling yourself it's proof you've been through battles, or you can take it off and feel the freedom in your shoulders. The moment you drop that weight, you realize strength isn't in carrying pain forever. It's in knowing when to set it down. Mercy also breaks cycles. Think about family arguments that go on for years because no one wants to be the first to let go. Think about rivalries at work that waste energy on petty competition instead of building something better. Think about relationships that crumble because both people are more interested in winning than healing. When you show mercy, you stop the cycle. You say, this ends here with me. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you the one strong enough to change the direction of the story. There's also a self-respect that comes with mercy. When you refuse to lower yourself to the level of someone who's hurt you, you keep your dignity intact. You can look in the mirror and know you stayed true to who you are, not who they tried to turn you into. And here's the thing, mercy doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It doesn't mean ignoring boundaries or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It means you deal with the situation without letting anger or revenge dictate your moves. You can forgive someone and still decide they don't get the same access to you anymore. You can release the bitterness while keeping your standards. That's strength with clarity. Look at leaders people truly respect. They're rarely the ones who lash out at every offense. They're the ones who can take the hit, stay grounded, and still lead with vision. Mercy doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you wiser, calmer, and harder to shake. The real test of strength is not how tightly you can grip a weapon, but how easily you can let it go when you no longer need it, when you can stand in the middle of conflict and say, I choose not to let this consume me. You're not showing weakness, you're showing mastery over yourself. And that kind of mastery is something most people never reach. Because it's easier to fight others than it is to conquer your own heart. Forgiveness is not just about letting go of the pain someone caused you. It is about freeing yourself from the prison you've built in your own heart. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Life is too short to carry that weight. Every day the sun rises, it whispers to you that yesterday is gone and today is a chance to start again. We are not defined by the mistakes we've made, but by the lessons we've learned and the courage we show to rise again. Every scar on your heart is proof that you've survived battles, and forgiveness is the final victory you can claim over the pain. You see, the strongest people are not the ones who never get hurt, but the ones who get hurt, bleed, heal, and still choose to love again. That is strength. Anyone can hold a grudge, but it takes real power to release it. In forgiving, you are not excusing the wrong, you are reclaiming your peace, you are telling your soul, I choose to be free. Think about the times you've been forgiven, the times you made mistakes, maybe big ones, and someone showed you mercy. That feeling of relief of being given another chance is a gift you can give to others, and in giving it, you heal yourself. We live in a world where everyone is quick to judge and slow to understand. Imagine if we reversed that. Imagine if we were quick to understand and slow to judge. The wars between nations, the conflicts in homes, the arguments between friends, so much could dissolve if forgiveness stepped into the room. It is not weakness. It is the highest form of courage. It's easy to fight back, but it's powerful to stand tall, look someone in the eye, and say, I will not let this break me. People will hurt you, sometimes intentionally, sometimes without even knowing. You will hurt people too. That's part of being human, but the beauty is in the reset button we are given every day. The breath in your lungs is proof that your story isn't over, and forgiveness is the ink you use to rewrite it. When you forgive, you are no longer a victim of your past. You are the author of your future. Picture this, you're carrying a heavy bag filled with stones. Each stone is a grudge, a betrayal, a harsh word, a moment you wish had gone differently. The longer you carry it, the heavier it gets, until it bends your back and steals your energy. Forgiveness is when you open the bag and start throwing the stones away, one by one. Suddenly, you stand taller. Suddenly, you breathe deeper. Suddenly, life feels lighter. And remember this, time will take everything from us in the end. The people we are angry at, the ones we can't forgive, one day they'll be gone, and so will we. So why not let go now? Why not give peace to yourself and to them while there's still time? You never know which conversation will be your last, which hug will be the final one. Forgiveness is the bridge that lets you cross over to love before it's too late. The world doesn't need more people holding grudges. It needs more people holding hands. It needs more voices that say, I understand, I forgive, let's move forward. That's how families heal. That's how communities heal. That's how the world heals. Life is short, my friend, too short for bitterness, too precious for hate. So choose forgiveness, not because they always deserve it, but because you always deserve peace. Let your heart be a place where storms pass but never stay, where wounds heal, and where love is always stronger than pain. When you do that, you don't just change your life, you change the lives of everyone who crosses your path.